Lisa, and welcome to Provenance Preservation. If you've visited before and watched some of our videos, welcome back, and if you're new around here, I hope you'll find useful tips on historic homes, vintage objects, gardening, food, and travel. Our past few videos have been focused on our work getting our seeds started and planted out at our community garden. Today I'm going to switch gears a little bit and I am going to prepare dinner. So we just returned from vacation. Our refrigerator is pretty empty, but I did manage to scrounge up a few ingredients for a healthy and what I hope will be a very delicious meal. So today I found these tuna steaks in my freezer. So these are just the sustainable premium wild-caught tuna steaks from Walmart. I always throw these in my cart for my grocery pickup. Just really super to have in the freezer for times like this, quick meals. I also happen to have a jar of artichoke hearts in my cabinet. So maybe you see where I'm going with this. I am going to do a lemon caper chicken, but I'm going to add some vegetables. I don't have a lot of fresh vegetables, so I will be using canned artichokes, and then I will also add some frozen green beans, and I will probably serve this with brown rice. I do have the capers here, I have the lemon ready to go, and I couldn't decide between just using garlic and using a shallot, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add both. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started chopping up the vegetables and getting everything ready to go. So I forgot to mention a very important ingredient. You do need some liquid to prepare this meal, and so I, rather than using just wine or chicken broth, prefer to add a mixture. And this is just some Sauvignon Blanc I happened to pick up on my last trip to Trader Joe's. So I am going to mix 1/4 cup of the Sauvignon Blanc with 1/4 cup of the organic chicken stock that I purchased from Costco. And then if I need more liquid, I will just keep these on my counter so that I can adjust the liquid as everything is cooking. And then I'll probably also use some of the chicken broth here for the rice when I prepare the rice. Okay, so now everything is minced, ready to go. The liquid is poured and ready to go. And now I'm just planning to get the pots and pans out. I'll probably start the rice first just because that will take a little bit longer. The tuna steaks will cook very quickly, and then the sauce is so fast and easy to whip together. This is a healthier version. Sometimes if I'm doing a chicken version, I will dredge the chicken in flour just to make the sauce a little bit thicker. This is going to be a healthier version. I'm not going to use the flour, but I will serve it with the rice so we can soak up all that delicious lemony caper sauce. Okay, now I'm getting the rice ready, and I have found that for our family of 3, 1.5 cups of rice and then the corresponding amount of water, I always just double it, is the perfect amount for us to have dinner and then also have enough for leftovers. I just use brown rice again. With the situation that we're in, I have come to love grocery pickup. I save so much time, probably money because I'm not impulse buying. Right now I am using the Walmart rice, and as I mentioned, I typically use 1.5 cups. I will measure out 1.5 cups of the rice. It looks like I'm going to have just the right amount. And I don't get too fussy in the kitchen. I feel like cooking is really flexible and gives you a lot of opportunity for creativity and the ability to use what you have on hand. Baking is a different story, but with cooking, you really have the opportunity to take advantage of what you have on hand, what you like, what you don't like. So feel free to modify really any recipe you come across, even this one, which I will link below. As you can see, I typically don't measure things. I just kind of go based on a little bit of experience, but just knowing that cooking is really forgiving, and if I add too much water, I just cook it a little bit longer. If I don't add enough liquid, I add more liquid. If I don't have the vegetable that the recipe calls for, or I want to add vegetables, I do it. I would love to have a red pepper. I think that would be really great. Maybe serving this dish on spinach instead of rice would be another great option. But just be flexible, work with what you have. I think my family has only told me to never make something again once, maybe twice. I think I'm doing okay. I always start with the rice. Brown rice takes 40 to 50 minutes. That becomes my timing factor. If I get that done, I can work everything else around that. I always like to get the rice started first, and then everything else comes together nicely. If it comes together too quickly, I can always just put it in the oven on warm. Lots of options. Now I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the tuna. The first step, I'm just going to open this up. Give me a minute here. What I like is that packages are individually wrapped. So if you don't have a lot of people in your family, or you just want to make something quick for lunch, it's super easy to just grab one, throw it in a bowl of cold water, and thaw it out. You have only 3 people in your family. I'm going to go ahead and prepare the entire package because I love leftovers. Perfect lunch for tomorrow. They're pretty similar in size and thickness, which is another benefit because you don't end up with one steak that is raw and one that is like overcooked. I am a microbiologist, so I'm pretty anal about washing my hands. I just put them in here. I'm going to grab my salt and pepper. Do a little bit of salt and pepper on each side. These are still just a little bit chilled, so that's not sticking as well as I would have liked. So that's just some ground pepper. I'm using the Kirkland Himalayan pink salt, and I just do kind of a light salt on each side. I know people don't like to salt their food, but it really does bring out the flavor. Flip these. Oops. The other trick with cooking is to put things away as you go. Otherwise, it can be really overwhelming when you're done and you look at your counters and they are completely covered with stuff. So I do like to put things away as I go. I have the tuna steaks all ready. I am also just thawing out the beans in some water. That'll just help things go a little bit more quickly when I'm ready to add the artichoke hearts and the beans into the sauce with the tuna. I'm just boiling the rice and the water, and then I will cover it and let it cook for 15 minutes. But I did just want to take a moment to talk about this new set of pans that I bought. This is the Cuisinart Green Gourmet. I've had it for just about 2 months now, and I really love it. I had an old Calphalon set for probably over 20 years. I cook a lot, and it had just really started to show the years. The surface was no longer non-stick, and I just purchased this set. It was a set of about, I think, 10 pots and pans and a strainer, and I did make sure that I purchased some rubber utensils so that I don't scratch that non-stick surface, but I am absolutely loving this Green Gourmet set. It is so nice to cook with. If I want to get a nice, like, get the pan hot and really sear something, which I will be doing with the tuna, it's perfect. And what I really love about it, super easy to clean. So I just don't even need to use an abrasive sponge. I can just use the soft side of my sponge or just a regular sponge to clean the surface. So I'm just really loving this set of pots and pans. Maybe I'll do an update, but again, I've had it for a couple of months and it's just really fun to cook with and super easy to clean, and who doesn't want that? Now I am searing the tuna. I'm not doing it too hot. I have it on about medium-high heat, and I'm searing one side. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and just drain my green beans. So I drain the green beans. I'm gonna open up my artichokes, and I think I'm gonna have to cut these, but first I will drain them. Okay. And I happen to buy the whole rather than the quartered, so I am going to have to cut these. But what I'm going to do is just cut them and then pop them right in the... I'm only going to cut them in half. That's fine. If we want them smaller, we can cut them down as we're eating them, but I think they hold together better if you only cut them in half. Otherwise, I feel like sometimes they just really fall apart. So I will slice these in half. Some pieces are falling apart, but that's okay. We'll just add everything in. Oops. So maybe I'll just need to drain that one more time before I pop it in with the sauce. So I'll finish this, and then I will flip the tuna. But I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and then we will get the sauce going. They do look great though. So, I mean, we do have a nice sear on these, but not as well as the first side. Well, that one looks pretty good. So we'll put those off to the side. I'm going to go ahead and add some olive oil. This is really just very special, delicious olive oil from Italy. Special treat that I will use tonight for this delicious dinner. And then I'm gonna put this off to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to saute the garlic and the shallots. And I usually do this just for a few moments until it's really nice and fragrant. I'll go ahead and add the chicken stock and the wine. I feel like that needs to be mixed up a little bit. The chicken stock settled a little. So mix that up. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and just zest the lemons. So I have a little zester here. It's usually easier to do this if you zest the lemons before you slice them in half, but yeah, I didn't think ahead that way. So it's all gonna work just fine. Again, cooking is forgiving. Baking, not so much. At this point, I've added the lemon zest. I will add my vegetables. They were a little bit, the beans were a little bit cold, so I'm gonna add the vegetables. And then I think I need to add a little more liquid. So I will add the vegetables. I will add a little bit more chicken stock. Just to make sure everything is covered. That looks good. I might turn up the heat just a little bit higher. So right now I'm just at a medium low, and I'm gonna let the vegetables heat up. And then I will add the lemon juice and capers. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze my lemon. I'm gonna link these tools below, but I love my little citrus zester. And then I have a couple of these. I have one for lemons and one for limes. It's just a little juicer, and I certainly wouldn't use it to make a glass of fresh squeezed juice. But for cooking, this is really just perfect for 1 or 2 limes or lemons. This lemon was a little bit small, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the lime version. So you just kind of put it in here and then just squeeze it in. And it's just so much more effective in getting more juice out of the fruit than trying to do it by hand. So I really like this. It was actually a gift. I had never seen one of these, and my mother-in-law gave me one, and I have never turned back. So love it. Whoop! That was a little bit aggressive. I think I got some lemon juice on my glasses that I'm gonna have to clean off. I don't think that's ever happened before, so consider that like a YouTube blooper. But ready to go there. I'm gonna go ahead and add the capers, and then I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit. I wanna get it nice and warm before I add the tuna back in. And if you're gonna have a long delay, this delay is not very long, so I'm just leaving my tuna on the counter. But you know, you need to kind of think about your timing, and does it make sense to keep it warm, or to actually even in fact cool it down? So you could do the tuna in advance and then just kind of throw the rest of it together, which would be pretty easy. Okay. And I added a little bit of the caper juice. I kind of like that tart, salty, pickly flavor. Have my glasses all cleaned off, and I'm back to getting the dish ready. We still have 7 minutes on the rice. Perfect. I turned up the heat a little bit here. I want to make sure that the vegetables are nice and warm. And when I have 5 minutes left, I will add the halibut steaks in to get those nice and warm. And the smell is so wonderful. The garlic was great, and now that combination of the lemon and the capers, I am getting so hungry. Okay, now I'm adding the halibut steaks back to the dish. Go ahead and just place them in there, and then I'll use the spatula to make sure that they're in the liquid. I'll leave this out for serving. I'm also going to put the lid on just to make sure that it stays nice and warm, or the fish heats up without everything else getting overcooked. So I can kind of turn the heat down a little bit and then make sure that the fish heats up. So this is really a pretty quick meal to put together. The rice is what's taking the longest time. So again, if you just want to put it over some sauteed spinach, that's a great option. Everything is done and it is time to eat. I am starving. Rice to my bowl. Lid on to keep it warm. I'm going to add a nice some of the sauce. Okay, so it's time for a taste test. Make sure I get a little bit of artichoke, a little bit of beans, a little bit of halibut. Absolutely delicious. Very lemony. The capers just really take it over the top. So please leave comments. I hope you like this recipe. If you have tips, please share them. Thank you. Take care.